I believe that you never really solve a problem. You just trade old problems for new problems. So in this video, I just wanted to give you a little bit of a context on how I think about solving problems, because maybe it'll help you from wasting a bunch of time on things that aren't really problems to begin with. The first thing you have to think about, I think, when you're looking to solve problems in the barbershop is this even really a problem? Or is it just a symptom? Because sometimes spend a lot of time as barbershop owners trying to solve symptoms, but not really treating the cause. So, one example of this could be, let's say you're having a problem with no shows. And so, the first thing you might think to do would be, well, now we need to start putting cards on file so that people actually show up for their appointment. Or maybe we should start taking deposits for appointments because people are wasting our time. Well, maybe that's not actually the problem you need to solve. And maybe the actual problem is people aren't getting the reminders or the timing of the reminders aren't regular, right? We can actually experiment with the timing of appointment reminders and increase your show up rate by getting the timing right. So, for example, we send 3 reminders with every appointment. We added a third one recently and it dropped our no show rate by a lot. So, we send a 1 week reminder, that's the new one. We send a 24-hour, and then we also send a 2 hour. We've experimented with the timing of the reminders and found that right now that works the best for us. We're going to continue to experiment. But the idea is, I think the most important one is the last one that they get, which is the one right, the closest to their appointment. So we experimented with doing 4 hours. We tried a 1 hour reminder. And we found that 2 hours was the sweet spot because 4 hours is like way too much time. People we get it and they're like, yeah, I got it. And then they forget about it. And it's like, oh crap. By the time they realize it's their appointment time, it's too late. And then with the 1 hour, we found that that's too soon. It was difficult for people to just drop what they were doing and go to the shop and still be on time in less than an hour. So that's why we stuck with 2 hours. So you can test these things. But I tried to think about it through like, what's the actual problem when trying to solve the problem with no shows? And we still have no shows. And I can tell you right now, there's nothing you can do to completely eliminate no shows. Even when we were charging deposits on our appointments and we even made people prepay in full, well, at one point they still no showed for their appointments. So there's the only thing you can do is really reduce the chance that it's going to happen or maybe bring that number down a little bit, but you will never really solve a problem, right? And especially if you're only treating the symptom, you just trade problems sometimes. So for example, if you are a barbershop owner and you get really, really good at marketing, well, you're going to solve the problem eventually of not having enough clients, but you're going to have a new problem, which is now that you don't have enough barbers. So you just really traded one problem for a new problem. So you never really solve problems in this business. Ultimately, I realized you're just going to have to trade problems for new problems. And you also just need to think about symptoms versus what's the real problem, right? I learned this from this book. It was called The Road Less Stupid. It's actually a really good book. And he calls it solving the problem that isn't. So you want to figure out what is the root cause, right? What is driving this behavior? I can give you another example. So of solving a symptom as opposed to the problem. So we have a new location and the barbers decided that we needed to buy more towels because there was towels piling up and they didn't have enough towels to use on the clients. Well, I saw that and I thought, well, that's not really the problem, right? The problem is that you guys don't have enough time to fold the towels because you're so busy. And buying new towels is going to temporarily solve the problem, but then eventually those new towels are going to get dirty too. So the real problem is that you need more help. It's not that you need more towels. You need another barber so that you're not as busy and you can actually have time. Somebody's available to fold the towels or anything. So you have to really think about what's the problem that you're trying to solve, because chances are the thing that you might spend a lot of time and energy trying to solve is not actually the real problem. It's just a symptom of the real problem, which in that case was that we needed more help, right? And you never really solve problems. They You just trade them for new ones. Or maybe you can just reduce the likelihood. In a case of no-shows, you will never solve the no-show problem. You may be able to reduce no-shows, but it will never go down to zero. Promise you. No matter what you do, you will never be able to get no-shows down to zero. You can get them low by making people prepay and sending a ton of reminders, but you're also going to make it so people are less willing to book with you, because now that there's all these jump steps that they have to jump through just to book with you. So I'd rather just make the booking process super simple and send a ton of reminders so that people don't forget about their appointment than charge people for not showing up. Because then when you charge people for not showing up, or you make them pay a deposit, they're also going to be much less willing to rebook with you. If you charge somebody a no-show fee, they can dispute it, and you'll probably lose that dispute, and then you're going to have to pay a chargeback fee on top of that, and you're never going to see that client again. So I just don't think it's worth it. Shit happens. We no-show on the clients sometimes. Now, of course, if you have the repeat offenders, if your system allows it, you can just charge them deposits. But I don't think you should punish everybody, because chances are it's just a very small percentage of your clientele that's actually abusing that privilege of being able to book online. So if you can just isolate the problem people, so that way it doesn't affect everybody else, that's something we're going to experiment with. Then that way you don't have to punish everybody and make everybody's hard to book with you just because it's just a few people that are constantly no-showing or canceling last minute with you. So the point of this video, think about what is the real problem. Don't try to treat the symptom, and realize that you're never really going to solve the problem. You're just going to trade old problems for new problems. Best case scenario, reduce the likelihood that this thing happens again. But that's the game. We're barbershop owners, and we're professional problem solvers. So hopefully this helps you. See you in the next one.